His slender hands grasped the AK-47. This is one of theirs. The metal felt cold and stung his skin, biting into him even while it lay dormant. That should have been his first indication of the weapon's true nature. The two smugglers were small, ordinary aliens, squat and unremarkable. There must be more to this situation. He remained calm, always exuding an aura of authority, a backbone that kept him in control. Yet, like a predator eyeing its sleeping prey, his instincts began to awaken. These humans, if they are capable of creating such things, toys like this, they must be simple creatures. Tell me, are they truly simple beings? The two exchanged glances, shrugged, and replied in unison, "Don't know." Eeks was an agent for his race, dispatched on a mission to assess humanity's capabilities prior to an invasion. They must be. He allowed a brief snicker to escape, almost as if his mind was beginning to twitch with excitement. I mean, just look at this thing. It's utterly ridiculous. He dangled the gun in front of his sleek, torpedo-like body, which made the weapon appear small and peculiar in comparison, like a child playfully wielding a stick as a weapon. Is it even an energy gun? Once more, the two glanced at each other, clearly frustrated by the delay in their dealings. Their kind grew anxious when remaining in one place for too long, a trait passed down from their ancestors. No one responded. "What? Are you kidding?" He shook his head and smiled, oblivious to the restlessness of the two. "How does it even kill?" "Metal," the other replied. "It throws metal." He articulated each word, savoring their significance. It throws metal. It was not a question to the two. Twins were merely a rhetorical device, allowing him to relish the moment as he strolled about, lifting his chin with theatrical arrogance and speaking as if those who listened should feel privileged to hear him. Humanity, the apes of Earth, were feared across the cosmos for reasons that elude my understanding. These beings, these insignificant creatures, have spent all this time concealing themselves behind glorified slingshots, advanced pebble throwers. Oh dear, that cannot be right. We cannot allow them to continue like this, can we? The two gazed at him blankly. He was indifferent to their response. "No, we cannot. We must take action regarding this. It is our duty to free humanity from their own dreadful existence." In that instant, with the cold, lifeless AK-47 in his grasp, E.S. determined the fate of his people. He penned a tragic history without even realizing it, unleashing the dogs of war to charge over a hill that he had yet to see. Oh dear, what doomed beings, what wretched creatures. E.S. blinked. "What do you want?" He shook his head. The creatures were visibly agitated now. "Do you want it? Yes or no? You touch, so you want, you buy now." Yes, every word fell like a penny tossed to the destitute. He looked up, feigning consideration of their proposal, as if he had ever truly contemplated it. Then, after sufficient theatrics, he sneered and let the gun fall to the ground, its cold thud revealing his genuine intent. Keep the trash. Why would I desire this? The two sprang up from their diminutive seats, yet due to their short legs and stocky bodies, they appeared even smaller beneath them. He could have easily overlooked them had he merely looked straight ahead. In a sense, they were. Quite literally beneath him, you touch this rare thing, this rare thing. He walked away, his needle-like legs extending before him like flags, piercing fresh soil, claiming territory with each step, with every strike. "You bastard!" They shook and rattled their fists at him. You touch, and you know by you egots all the same. That was the title of Eeks and his people, the designation given to them by all those who had the misfortune of knowing them, the egots, the beings of infinite violent egos. E.E.'s had already forgotten about the two creatures by the time he boarded his ship. A lion cares not for the opinions of sheep, and an EGOT cares for nothing beyond itself. Her crown was simple, small, and rounded across the top of her oval head, silver like the fading light of a star, and somehow just as inspiring. She stood tall on her podium, embodying the pride of her ambitious race, a pride that spanned wider than any galaxy. "I desire not your theatrics, ES," she declared. Then simply, "I shall be, O expansive one." He bowed, waving his large arm before himself, praying to be slaughtered, destined to rid the galaxy of that which I bring news of humanity. A quiet audience surrounded them, a select few chosen to witness the expansive one hold a war council during such a sacred ceremony. Only she was permitted to choose who spoke of the tales of humanity, what of their legendary wrath and violence. Oh, encompass her, bridger of cosmic distances. The EGOTs were nothing if not pompous, and their leader naturally needed to embody such ideals. The EGOT was proud to bestow praise upon their kind. The royal one would not fear a pebble launched from a string bow. These humans have merely transformed the bow into metal and hurled a steel pebble. The words and tales you hear are mere shields of fairy tale fabrications designed to instill fear. The council's amphitheater was situated on a comet, soaring above a magnificent blue star, while the celestial bodies roared in the silence of space, slightly distorted by the transparent shield that permitted the EGOTs to revel in their display. How can one be certain of reality? Aegis had merely heard the same tales as everyone else. He had only witnessed one weapon, a small remnant of war, yet that was all he believed he required. That was all the EGOTs ever needed, an excuse to elevate their pride even further. My all-being great owner, the answer is straightforward for beings like us, for commanders such as we are. The scent of prey is unmistakable, I assure you. Humans are creatures of dirt, meant solely to be trampled. No further words were exchanged, and silence enveloped the crowd of tall, slender beings. However, to the trained ear of an EGOT, a standing ovation adorned the cosmos, for their leader had given a nod. It was a simple, elegant gesture, yet within its solemnity lay a signal to unleash the metal ships of war and to activate the weapons of conquest. A ceremony of great religious splendor was imminent. The EGOTs were soaring into battle, ready to seize more territory. How splendid it was! What a holy day it was above the pulsating star! A holy war was on the horizon, for after all, the humans were apes. Indeed, they were creatures of dirt. All of this was true, self-evident even. What possible miscalculations could arise from instinct? The grand EGOTs have constructed ships that are colossal, resembling massive grand daggers of metal. They traversed the skies of Earth, consuming light and drawing it into a silver, indifferent hull. These vessels were akin to knives descending from the sacred heavens, offering liberation from unworthy existence and disrupting the tranquility of those who dared to remain oblivious. Captain East was honored to lead the conquest. His voice had never resonated with such strength, nor had it ever soared higher in its pride. I wish to converse with them first. Let us observe that which we are about to obliterate, a small transport platform that emerged from their flying monolith. Kenan Ekas and 4 others descended onto the platform below, where an envoy of humans awaited, appearing small and somewhat disheveled. The ship landed as gently as a feather on water, barely disturbing even a pebble. At last, he raised his chin high as he descended a staircase that had extended from the transport, his hands clasped behind his back, scarcely glancing at the 3 camouflaged humans. I can finally see the apes. The men were middle-aged, rugged, and scarred, clad from head to toe in field military attire, and, to Ekka's slight surprise, they matched his aura of indifference. The middle one, a stout and dark individual, abruptly raised his hand in a gesture to halt. Aka's progress was interrupted, caught off guard by both the command and his own respect for it. He observed as the peculiar man, careless and languid in his movements, propped a leg on a small crate, retrieved a long, tightly rolled cigar, and, with remarkable precision, struck a match to ignite it, shielding the delicate flame from the harsh, arid wind. Upon lighting the tobacco, he then looked up at Eka, having to elevate his gaze quite high to meet his eyes. Observing his face, he leisurely puffed on his cigar. Silence enveloped the room, and as expected, something more was anticipated. Yet the man simply continued to smoke, appearing as content as ever. His two companions did not even glance in his direction. "What is this?" Etika shook his head, unable to conceal his sneer. "What is this performance?" The man took his time, never diverting his gaze from Etikus, slowly nodding as he inhaled puff after puff. "My name is James," he finally stated in a curt yet lively tone. Ekus paused for a moment. "All right." One of the men beside James interjected, "Now it's your turn, buddy." Ekus snapped at the presumption of ignorance. "I know what an introduction is," he retorted, shaking his head and brushing off the dust that had begun to accumulate on his hands. "Stars above, must we engage in such formalities?" James shrugged. "I suppose not." Ekus was growing increasingly uncomfortable with their blatant casualness. "Right," he nodded, attempting to maintain focus and uphold his sense of dignity. "Well, you must understand your situation by now. We have observed your people and studied your weaponry. We are—" Suddenly, James came alive with energy, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm, sending a shiver down Ekus's spine. "You wouldn't happen to have one of our rifles, would you? Here, take a look at this." He reached behind him and presented an AK-47, smiling as he did so. "Have you seen something like this before?" Yes, Ekus was utterly bewildered, and it was two small fellows, two rather cheeky individuals. "Did he show it to you?" "Yes, son of a—" He slapped his knee in sheer delight and turned to the man on his left. "Jenkins, I told you those bastards were trying to sell that." "20, Ekus shook his head. "What? Oh, sorry, buddy." James smiled and puffed his cigar, resting one elbow on his knee. "Old Jenkins here thought that the two fellas were going to eat it. We caught video of those two stealing the stuff, and it made the rounds of the old Pentagon." The man behind him shrugged. "What was I supposed to think? Not some dumb, anyways." James rolled his hand. "Sorry, buddy, you were just getting on about how you were about to try and conquer us and all. Why, yes, I was." He stepped back, trying. It was a jab, the first flying strike of a fight. Ekus blinked as his chest erupted with the challenge of pride. He couldn't contain the anger swelling in him, and he spat out his next sentences. "Educating unruly children, our peoples, the great claimers of the galaxy? We do not try. There is never a try with us. We always do. That's us. We never fail. We are not the triers. We are the claimers, the conquerors." James pursed his lips. Yeah, you should be bowing at my feet right now. It's not really how we do things around here, buddy." He straightened up, stretching out his shoulders and neck. "Not big into the whole bowing thing here. Got a bad B history with it. We're simple folk here, none of that praising jazz. You don't bow, you don't worship something grand. Oh no, buddy, we worship something quite grand here. We take a good bit of pride in it, too." He tilted his head in curiosity. Yes, James's gaze was suddenly serious, his whole body locked into something scary, something beyond his simple self. He spoke simply, but with immense weight and passion. The word struck X. It sent a chill down his spine and rocked him. there was a certain coldness in the manner he expressed it, so elegant, so swift, so straightforward, that should have served as a warning for him to depart. Eeks blinked and shook his head, re-entering with impatience. "You do realize we are here to eliminate all of you?" "Yes, indeed," came the response. "That was our assumption. Even Jenkins understood that, didn't he?" "Absolutely, sir," Jenkins affirmed. "See, even Jenkins caught on to that," Eeks sneered. "I am merely conversing with you to witness the realization dawn in your eyes." At that moment, James sprang to his feet, his sudden speed and energy catching X off guard. "To be honest, my friend, we are all quite eager for this. It has been quite some time since we had a genuine rumble, and you have truly stirred everyone's excitement about it. Why don't you all shake hands before you proceed? Wait, I don't comprehend. I suppose it is of no consequence." He and his crew turned abruptly and began to walk away into the desert, each step playful and leisurely. James raised a hand in farewell, his back turned. "Just let us know when this gathering commences. It doesn't matter, does it? Gathering?" Eeks was taken aback by the entire encounter. He nearly overlooked how feeble he appeared. Quickly, and with evident embarrassment, he straightened up and shouted to the humans, "These are your people's final moments. Let it be known that what is about to unfold will be tragic, horrific, and it will be us, the conquerors, the claimers, who will execute it." James's voice was now distant, fading away with the wind, just like his figure. "All right, buddy, all right." Emmett stormed back into his transport, hot and dazzled with fury. "These ignorant beasts." His voice echoed into the empty air, the OTS remaining silent and concerned. "These audacious and filthy beings will face consequences." Upon his return to the ship, he stormed into the command chamber and bellowed his orders, articulating them with such intensity and resentment that hesitation was not an option for anyone present. "Dispatch everything. Send the land cruisers, deploy the soldiers, launch the ships. I demand this location to be turned to glass. I want it obliterated. Annihilate every living creature in sight." The war machine sprang into action, with thousands of transport ships ferrying millions of EGOTs to the eerily silent Earth. Massive drilling lasers erupted from the large blades, unleashing millions upon millions of beams from the barrels of meticulously engineered cold energy weapons. Eeks himself exited the interior of his ship and observed from a floating, protected platform. However, as the EGOTs rampaged, they appeared to be assaulting mere shells, abandoned houses, and desolate towers, with not a single human in sight. X gripped his observer tightly as he monitored the reports and witnessed with his own eyes the absence of any life. "Where are they?" he shouted furiously. "Where have the rats concealed themselves?" Just beneath his ship, approximately 200 yards ahead of an advancing line of EGOTs, a faint shimmer caught his eye, a reflection in the sunlight. Eeks yelled and pointed, "Look, they are there!" A few men rushed forward to investigate, while Eeks himself zoomed in with a camera to identify the concealed human. A smile crept across his face as the screen gradually focused deeper and deeper, revealing what appeared to be one of those metallic slingshots. What did they call it? An AK? The muzzle ignited with flames, and not just that one, but hundreds, thousands more erupted all along the tree line. It was instantaneous and furious. The OT weapons were energy guns, which were remarkably advanced and silent. Upon making contact with a living being, they would simply drain the life from it. Nothing elaborate, no scarring, just a transition from life to death. It was an elegant and refined method of combat, the only appropriate way to engage in battle. However, as the horizon erupted with fire and the sky was illuminated in red by missiles, grenades, artillery, and an overwhelming amount of lead, the EGOTs witnessed the reality of humanity's primitive weaponry. The first EGOT struck by a bullet did not simply perish as it would have under an energy weapon. Instead, it was torn apart, a leg severed from its torso, flesh exploding onto its comrades in a horrific, screaming arc. Their eyes began to adjust to a reality they were unprepared for. From the vantage point of his observership, Ika suddenly beheld a battlefield that was not filled with organized, proud, and marching egots, but rather a terrifying bloodbath, a grotesque display of war and death. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect was that the conflict was not one-sided. The humans were also falling in large numbers. Yet rather than succumbing to fear amidst the chaos of this dreadful war, they grew even angrier and more ferocious, which only made them stronger. The egots had never encountered such a primal and savage battle before. This was not their grand design, nor their sacred method. It was purely carnal. Only animals could generate such madness. An explosion struck Ekka's ship, sending him tumbling down in a dizzying crash, slamming into the earth. He became coated in dirt, covered from head to toe in brown sticky earth that mixed with his own purple blood. His ears rang, and he swayed as he attempted to regain his footing, and when he finally directed his gaze towards the horizon of Earth, he witnessed it. He perceived the true perspective. He was immersed in it. The flying lead, the screaming men, the popping and bursting explosions that erupted from every direction. The whizzing and screeching of planes, jets, and missiles surrounded him. He found himself amidst this horror show, the terror of humanity and their rudimentary weapons. He struggled to comprehend it. He could not grasp what had transpired. They appeared so unevolved. Their bodies, their firearms, their planet. How could this be occurring? His communicator buzzed, and in his ear he heard the concerned voice of the expansive one, EAS. She sounded quite angry. What is happening there? We are receiving report after report of disaster. He began to walk among the dirt, the corpses, and the chaos, navigating through the relentless flying death that blistered by his ears. His voice was exhausted, devoid of any ground to center on. Yes, you said they were simple. Yes, they are. He observed as one of their grand knife-like ships, miles in length and the pride of his people, succumbed to a fiery red explosion and began to crash down. That's the problem, Great One, he recalled the thought of James and his two carefree friends. He should have recognized it in their eyes, in the way they walked and spoke. It is not the simplicity that is the issue. It is all fundamentally trivial technology. A few dozen yards ahead of him, he saw 3 humans, guns in hand, muzzles alight and furious, their eyes just as mad, just as intense and energetic. They screamed in unison, just as their guns did, and together, machine and man, they created a formidable force. He was speaking slowly and quietly, yet that was not the essence of it. It was the passion, my queen, that was horrifying. The stars were horrifying. An explosion engulfed the communication, and the last thing the expansive one heard was the fiery cackle of a failed war, a depleted and destroyed invasion force. It was a failure that no EGOT had ever dared approach within light years of humans since that time. Whenever anything was mentioned regarding humanity or their weapons, the egots ensured to convey their message. They asserted that the metal slingshots and bombs were not their true weapons. They do not define their capability. Instead, it is their mentality, their all-in, no-holds-barred, do-or-die approach that drives them to persist until the bitter, broken, beaten end. Their dogged, fiery, and frenzied passion enables them to capture the sun behind their eyes, to possess a broken roar in their lungs, to witness destruction and horror, and to find meaning and purpose. They transform death into new life within their hearts, turning a dead end into a final stand, and they carry on, endlessly. Humanity may utilize primitive weapons, that is indeed true, but that is not their genuine power. Their true power lies in their humanity itself, a lesson the EGOTs learned the hard way.